of the budget debate conducted at the start of the new fiscal year in April. During the sectoral debate, a government member can seek the approval of the House for government's proposed programs and projects within the different sectors. The debate gives the opposition speakers an opportunity to address their portfolio responsibilities. That's what's on the agenda. It should be noted that elements of the day's agenda can be changed or moved. But before we go, here are a few things you should bear in mind if you plan to attend a session at Gordon House. No visitor shall create any act of disorder within the precincts of the House. No visitor shall be admitted to the House without first obtaining an admission card. Visitors who remain within the precincts of the House during a suspension of the session are asked to keep silent. No photography, videography, or sketching of the proceedings is allowed, unless so authorized by the presiding officer. And there should be no smoking inside the Parliamentary building. It's almost time to go to the main event, but before that, let's get the answer to the trivia question we asked. True or false, the budget debate is opened by the Prime Minister? It's false. The truth is, the budget debate is opened by the Minister of Finance, who outlines how the various programs and policies of the government will be financed and how the money will be raised. Other speakers by convention include the Prime Minister, the Leader of the Opposition, the Opposition Spokesman on Finance, ministers selected by the government, selected opposition spokespersons. The budget debate is closed by the Minister of Finance after all presentations are made. Remember, the budget debate is usually followed by the sectoral debate. Here are a few more interesting facts about the Houses of Parliament. The mace in Parliament is a symbol of royal authority, and without it, neither house can meet or pass laws. According to Jamaica Information Service, the mace is an ornamented staff used in Jamaican parliamentary ceremonies and sessions. It represents the monarch's authority over such proceedings. It is present at every session, as Parliament is not properly constituted without its presence in the room. The mace is made of silver and is 5 feet 6 inches long. It was ordered by the House of Assembly in 1786 and arrived the following year. At the start of each sitting of Parliament, the mace is carried by the Marshal ahead of the entry of the presiding officer, the Speaker of the House, or the President of the Senate. The mace is placed on the table of the House, where it remains until it is removed at the end of each session by the Marshal. The mace, however, must be placed under the table when the entire House meets as a committee to examine a bill in its second stage of review. In this instance, the presiding officer is functioning as a chairman. The removal of the mace by any person other than the Marshal is viewed as a sign of disrespect and contempt of Parliament. The proceedings will begin in a few moments. Let's see if you can identify the mace.
This honorable House now resumes its sitting. Call of the roll.
Ms. Chamberlain, okay. Mrs. Holness, Mr. Bartlett, Mr. Holness, Dr. Clark, Dr. Chang, Mr. Shaw, Mr. Samuda, Ms. Grange, Mrs. Williams, Mrs. Malawu-Fort, Dr. Tufton, Mr. McKenzie, Mr. Chuck, Mr. Vaz, Mr. Warmington, Mr. Charles, Mr. Green, Mr. Morgan, Mr. Hutchinson, Mr. Taylor, Ms. Smith, Dr. Dunn, Mrs. Cuthbert Flynn, Mr. Main, Mr. Davis, Mr. Witter, Mr. Brown, Dr. Brown Burke, Dr. Charles, Mr. Chin, Mr. Clark, Mr. Cousins, Ms. Crawford, Ms. Daly, Ms. Davis, Mr. Goldine, Mr. Graham, Dr. Guy, Ms. Hamilton, Ms. Hannah, Mr. Henriquez, Mr. Henry, Mr. Hilton, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Lawrence, Ms. Lee, Mr. Miller, Mr. Montague, Ms. Morrison, Mrs. Nita Garvey, Mr. Paulwell, Mr. Phillips, Dr. Phillips, Mr. Robertson, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Siblist, Mr. Slowly, Mrs. Vaz, Dr. Wheatley, Mr. Williams, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Wright, Mr. Lawrence,
Statements by ministers.
Madam Speaker, yesterday I made a statement in response to a question from the member from St. Catherine South. And in that statement, I was made to believe, before making the statement, that there was an attempt at resumption and that not all the water systems of the country were off. That has turned out not to be the case. But when I made that statement, it was based on advice that I received. As a result, most of the water systems, the vast majority, have been out since yesterday and up to now. That is the case. I believe I'm told the Prime Minister will be making a statement, or the Minister of National Security, based on actions taken to ensure that some systems that are of critical importance, affecting sensitive areas of our country, was reopened, and access to them was made possible through the use of security forces. Now, the fact is, Madam Speaker, the discussions reconvened at my ministry at 10 o'clock this morning, and those discussions involved the Joint Trade Union Council, the 5 trade unions involved in the dispute, along with representatives from the workforce of the National Water Commission, along with representatives from the Ministry of Finance and representatives from our ministry. They have been locked in discussions since 10 o'clock this morning. They should have met at 10 sharp, but they were a little delayed. But they have been in discussions all morning. And I can say with a great degree of confidence that they have reached a point that is very encouraging. But there are still certain elements of the proposed resumption agreement that will have to be fine-tuned and confirmed in respect of other agencies of government. So I expect that by the time we rise to adjourn this afternoon, that a statement can be made by me as the Minister of Labour, and I hope that I will be given that opportunity at that time, Madam Speaker, with your permission. Thank you.
Minister, thank you very much for that explanation in relation to this. Thank you so much. It's accepted by.
Yes, Madam Speaker, if I may, I thank the Minister for clarifying the matter, and I'm sure all of us would join in the hope that there will be a speedy resolution of the issue so that the society can get back to some state of normalcy. Being deprived of water supply is obviously an unsustainable and very unsatisfactory and difficult situation for institutions and businesses and indeed households. It was most unfortunate, Minister, that you made the statement yesterday based on advice which apparently was totally inaccurate and created an impression of a situation which was not the case. And so it was most necessary for you to stand up at the beginning of the proceedings today to effectively clarify the matter and retract that statement. And I would only say that going forward, when one is responding to these very sensitive issues, one will have to be doubly careful to ensure that the sources of information upon which one is relying in informing the country as to the situation at hand and in a very sensitive and serious situation are as accurate as possible. But we definitely are hoping that the efforts underway in your ministry will lead to fruition and positive outcome. And we look forward to hearing an update, hopefully an accurate update, as to what the situation is. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, it would be good, while the member is on his feet, if he could explain and correct the statement he made in Westmoreland in regards to the person squatting on lands in Westmoreland.
Madam Speaker, that is not a comment that's appropriate or relevant to the discussion at hand, but I am happy at an appropriate time to explain the situation in Westmoreland and to call on his government to do something to help the thousands of people who are facing dispossession of the land that they've occupied for decades. But this is not the time for that. That was a silly and facetious remark and unworthy of you.
Members, I hear somebody saying chaka chaka. We're not going to continue the chaka chaka behavior. We're moving straight ahead with the agenda. So we are now at announcements. Bills brought from announcements.
Laid on the table of the House today are the following: Annual Report on Audited Financial Statements of the Norman Manor International Airport Limited for the years 2018-2019 and 2019-2020. Annual Report on Audited Financial Statement of the Montego Bay Metro Company Limited for the year 2010-2011. The Auditor General's Department Certified Appropriation Account, Head 200, Houses of Parliament for the year 2010-2011. And Green Paper number 1 of 2022 entitled Proposed National School Nutrition Policy.
Bills brought from the Senate, petitions, papers, reports from committees, notices of motions given orally.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move the following motion. Whereas a need for a collaborative space for all women parliamentarians of Jamaica, regardless of party affiliation or the chamber in which they serve, has been identified, and whereas such a space could facilitate networking, the fostering productive dialogue on issues of women's rights and gender equality, and undertaking actions to positively impact the inclusiveness of the legislative process and our country as a whole. And whereas there has been consensus among most women parliamentarians that this space be established as a bicameral caucus of women parliamentarians, be it resolved that the standing orders of the House of Representatives be amended to allow for this caucus to be established as a sessional select committee to sit jointly with a similarly comprised committee from the Senate. And be it resolved that this motion be referred to the Standing Orders Committee of the House of Representatives for consideration and report. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Questions and answers to questions. Motions that may be made at the commencement of public business requiring notice. Motions relating to sittings of the House. Motions for leave to introduce bills. Presentation of bills without leave of the House first obtained. Public business.
Madam Speaker, today it is our intention to continue the sectoral debate. The Honourable Clifford Warmington, Member of Parliament, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, will be our only speaker. Madam Speaker, thank you.
The Honourable Minister, Mr. Everard Warmington.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, colleagues. Madam Speaker, I rise to make my presentation in this Honourable House. On behalf of the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, the Ministry is charged with drafting the blueprint to drive economic growth and sustainable development in Jamaica, and has responsibility for 6 critical portfolio areas that are extremely important to the present and future sustainability of our beloved island Jamaica and the welfare of the people whom we serve as representatives in this House, in this Honourable House. As such, we are very aware that we have a work cut out for us. Madam Speaker, it is no secret that we have endured much as a nation due to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, I'm optimistic, and indeed, it is my firm belief that together we will overcome the challenges and continue the thrust towards sustainable development with a renewed sense of purpose and increased focus. When the Prime Minister spoke earlier in the budget debate, we would have laid the foundation for what I call the macro plan, where infrastructure works were concerned. Infrastructure in particular, what I call in particular, the works portfolio is wide and encompasses much more than what the most Honourable Prime Minister would have touched on. I want to therefore speak to some of the other critical road-related works that the government, through the National Works Agency, has been giving attention. Madam Speaker, the country is still facing serious challenges due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This pandemic has caused hardships in many respects. From our perspective, we have seen where the government had to shift resources away from roadworks activities to the health sector, which no one can deny needed this support. I would have loved to have been in a position to see more roads, bridges, retaining walls, and road markings done across Jamaica, but COVID has prevented this reality. Yes. Madam Speaker, I note the recent uptick in demonstration across the island on account of poor roads conditions. I truly share some of the concern and frustrations of the people. I want to assure them, however, that we will be doing all that is possible to improve the condition of roads in the many communities. Some of the demonstrations have been in respect of works now underway. I have instructed that the National Works Agency, directly or through its consultants, ramp up its supervision of these works to monitor the activities that are likely to cause public unrest. Madam Speaker, while I understand some of the basics of the public protest, there can be no excuse for people to block roads, set fire to debris, which then cause further damage to the roads. I wish to restate here that blocking of a road won't necessarily result in it being fixed shortly thereafter. If anything, this sometimes lead to an even longer time as further damage is done to already bad surfaces and drainage features compromised, which then makes it necessary to increase the sums required for making good such damages. Madam Speaker, when the significant part of Gordontown Road in St. Andrew collapsed during heavy rains in November 2020, the government pledged to have the roadway restored as quickly as possible. This pledge was based on the significant dislocation that this natural disaster caused to the thousands of residents of Gordontown and other rural communities such as Mavis Bank, Dublin Castle, and Robertsfield. When examined against the backdrop of the economic impact of our Jamaican coffee, there is no way the government could not have acted in that manner. It did. The manner it did. Let me remind this House that much of our world-famous Blue Mountain coffee grows in the communities above Gordontown. And access to the port facilities also had to be weighed into the decision-taking process. Madam Speaker, I'm happy to report that the roadway was officially reopened in October 2021, with the project being delivered on time and on the budget. However, we are not unaware of the need for additional works along the corridor. In fact, planned upgrade works on the Mahogany Vale Bridge had to be suspended as a result of the embankment failure at Gordontown. The heavy equipment needed to execute the work at Mahogany Vale could not traverse the other corridors, hence the bridge project slowed significantly. Madam Speaker, while we continue to look for additional funds to target other sections to the corridor, we are delighted that we were able to do some work based on the cost savings that we experienced from the execution of this project. I'm also happy to announce that the long-awaited 4.8-kilometer long stretch from Broadgate to Agualta Vale, that in Junction Road project in St. Mary, will be completed this financial year. Finally. Many will recall that the project, which started in November 2017, was delayed by geotechnical and performance challenges. The project is now complete. It was taken over in March, and we are now into the defect liability period, which is 15 months. What this means, Madam Speaker, is that should any defect manifest, the contractor will be liable to fix the same at its cost. This government is not unmindful of the criticism that has been leveled at the implementation of the Junction Road project. There are important lessons to be learned. Some of the engineering assumptions prove overly ambitious. However, those familiar with the corridor can attest that the Junction Road project would always be a challenging one. And so, Madam Speaker, we cannot let ourselves be overly disencouraged by setbacks. We must hold fast to certain truths. The Junction Road project, when complete, represents a safer, faster, more convenient route for farmers and industry to bring their produce to market on our ports for export. Therefore, Madam Speaker, while we will learn from these challenges, this government remains resolute towards the future goal of modernizing the remainder of this important corridor. In fact, we see the current work to correct that fault along the corridor near Chovy or the Westmoreland Bridge as a major step in this thrust forward. This $300 million project will put an end to what has existed for nearly 100 years, with the ground forming and the road embankment sinks, especially when we have continuous period of heavy rains. To borrow a phrase, Madam Speaker, we expect the ground to no longer sink when complete, but to stand firm. We can't use it now. Them not have it no more. Madam Speaker, while the government is focused on realizing economic growth and development through several large-scale construction projects, we have not forgotten to invest in our communities. During the last fiscal year, the government expended some $5.3 billion on road maintenance and repairs. Another $637 million was spent on flood mitigation works. Madam Speaker, I am sure you will agree with me that these smaller projects have big impact on the communities in which they have been implemented. Yes. I could not stand there and list the large number of communities that have benefited, but that would take my entire presentation, my presentation time, and more and more. I believe, though, I should give everyone a reminder of some of those areas that have benefited from the sums expended. Madam Speaker, in Kingston, we have the Benson fording. That's $11.32 million. Lee's Flats, Red Hills, $7.3 million. Paul Road, these are projects that have been completed. Paul Road, Cooper's Hill, $10.2 million. Barton's Gully in St. Catherine, $21.89 million. Vanity Fair, Tavern Hill, Seafield in Guys Hill, $34.3 million. At Mixed Patch in Eastern St. Thomas, $20 million. At Mixed Patch in Western St. Thomas, $20 million. Williamsfield to Cumberland, $19.9 million. Manchester to Rods Corner, $19.9 million. James Hill to Kelly's Clarendon, $27.9 million. Freetown to Fort Part, $20 million. Redgate, Washfoot Gully, Ginger Hill, $37.1 million. Pepper Church Road in St. Elizabeth, $18.7 million. Richmond Bridge Repair, Bridge to River Training, $20.5 million. Esher Bridge, River Training, $13.6 million. Tiber River Bridge, $95 million. Strawberry Breakaway Loser Oak Bay, $25.6 million. Wharf Lane, St. Thomas Road Rehab, $19.8 million. Coffee Ridge, Bethesda Road Rehab, $43.1 million. Alexandra Ballantyre Road Rehab, $32.2 million. Barnett, Bushto and Chovy St. James, $17.3 million. Marchmount to Washfoot Gully St. James, $18.9 million. Hanover Middlesex Bridge to McLean Gate, $15.3 million. Dice to Davis in Hanover, Davis Cove, $15.3 million. Westmoreland, Dunbar River to Torrington, $27.1 million. We expect to continue this year, Madam Speaker, and to date, there are 128 projects from both sides of the House, from members of the House, that we hope to have instituted this year, large and small. Brother Phillips, you can't complain because you're starting shortly. 30 odd million or so? Madam Speaker, the government has always had the National Work Agency as a key entity for infrastructure development. If there were any doubt, Madam Speaker, as to the importance of the National Works Agency to nation building, the COVID-19 pandemic would have killed that thought. Madam Speaker, as you know, the National Works Agency has been at the forefront of building out a public safety network for the government and people of Jamaica. This is part of the agency's push to deliver services in real time with tangible benefits to the traveling public. It is against this background that the agency started and has continued its program of building out its fiber optic network to connect key sections of its infrastructure, such as traffic signals and its intelligent traffic management center. Other government ministries, departments, and agencies are benefiting during this fiscal year 2021, the fiscal year 2021-22. The National Works Agency, in collaboration with the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology, provided broadband connectivity to 9 Jamaican courts. In addition, 13 courts are now being connected, similar to the build-out of parish courts into the National Works Agency fiber optic cable infrastructure. Same was executed for the municipal corporation island-wide. To date, 9 municipal corporations are connected to the fiber backbone infrastructure. Owing to the impact of the COVID-19 on the education system, the National Works Agency has been integral in the build-out of the fiber optic cable infrastructure to schools within Kingston and St. Andrew. This is in support of the Education Ministry's push to provide stable internet access to schools with the demand for higher broadband usage due to the large student populations. Let us now turn to the matter of infrastructure development. It is no secret that investment in physical infrastructure, roads, bridges, ports, schools, health centers, etc., are essential ingredients to the securing Jamaica's long-term economic growth and sustainable development. To this end, the government, through the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, is hard at work on several infrastructure projects, including the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project, which includes an extension of East-West Toll Road from Maypen, Clarendon to Williamsville, Manchester, and the Montego Bay Parliamentary Road. Madam Speaker, when I addressed the House last year, we had started roughly $5.4 billion work under the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project. These work form Tranche 1. We have since moved to a second tranche of work, under which we are spending another $6.1 billion. We now have 10 of the 15 packages on the way between St. Thomas and Portland. We are well on the way to making the eastern side of Jamaica the newest side of Jamaica, buttressed by other seminal investment for growth and prosperity. The Southern Coastal Highway project works are being executed in 3 parts. Part A, Maypen to Williamsville, is 28 kilometers. Yes. Part B2, on Harborview to Yallis Bridge, 70.4 kilometers. And Part B, 3 and 4, Yallis Bridge to Port Antonio and Mount Bay to Cedar Valley, 123.6 kilometers. Wow. Madam Speaker, let me remind this House that Part A, Maypen to Williamsville, forms part of the extension of the East-West Toll Road being managed by the National Road Operating and Construction Company. A map of the Southern Coastal highway improvement project is provided in the documents to be handed to members. Madam Speaker, I will take a few minutes to indicate to this House where we are with this very large program of work at this time. Regarding Trench 1, which has 5 distinct projects, we are between 65% and 75% completion at this time. Tranche 3 has not yet commenced. It is the government's intention to have the road sections that comprise Tranche 3 commence this fiscal year. These sections are Trench 1, package and location. Package 4, Morant Bay River Bridge to Prospect, that's 8.9 kilometers, at a contract cost of $1.018 billion, 60% complete. Package 8, Audley to Long Road, 4.16 kilometers, $551.7 million, 70% complete. Package 10, Manchneil to Fair Prospect, 8.8 kilometers, $1.093 billion, 70% complete. Package 14, Morant Bay to Georgia, 14.7 kilometers, $1.165 billion, 61% complete. Package 15, Georgia to Cedar Valley, 11.74 kilometers, $1.537 billion, 63% complete. Tranche 2 project, Package 1, Yallis Bridge to Loudon Hill, that's Salt Pond, 6.72 kilometers. Contract sum $1.38 billion, 22% complete. Package 2, Loudon Hill, Salt Pond to Pomfret, 4.9 kilometers, $869.9 million, 21% complete. Package 3, Pomfret Morant Bay River Bridge, 9.55 kilometers, $1.934 billion, 16% complete. Package 3, Boston area to Drapers, 7.44 kilometers, $1.104 billion, 26% complete. Package 3, Drapers to Port Antonio, 9.52 kilometers, $1.308 billion, 11% complete. Madam Speaker, you soon get it. Don't worry yourself. Madam Speaker, substantial completion for the first 2 tranches of the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project is anticipated by March 2023. The 3rd tranche, which we expect will be substantially completed, we expect will be substantially completed by the end of 2023. The location for this is Package 3, Prospect to Arcadia District, 9.05 kilometers. Arcadia District to Amity Hall, 7.4 kilometers. Amity Hall to Audley, 6.98 kilometers. Fair Prospect to Boston, 6.8 kilometers. Madam Speaker, while we celebrate the games, I must also acknowledge this disruption to the daily life of citizens and the public generally. Yeah. Construction activities such as that which is on the way in these parishes do cause disruptions. Yeah. But we endeavor to keep such impact to a minimum. Yeah. Even as we work, Madam Speaker, to improve the lives of the people through the investment in these works, we know that discomfort does come sometimes. Where prosperity is on the horizon, yes. To the people being impacted negatively, I say, your patience, your fortitude, your faith and trust in the government will be rewarded in a tangible way. This government will deliver a once-in-a-generation integrated infrastructure that will deliver safe, reliable, quality roads, potable water supply and sanitation, as well as fiber optic ducts that will enable future development. Madam Speaker, the prosperity that comes with this kind of infrastructure undertaking is about to shine through. We are making sure that this happens. Madam Speaker, for the fiscal year 2022-2023, the National Works Agency, in can't complain, just get 2 roads. Tony, I might have differences, but you know, I take care of him. Isn't that true? Isn't that true? His contractors were just selected today. Conway Road, and the other one is, what's the other name? Ellistone. Those two. Madam Speaker, for fiscal year 2022-2023, the National Works Agency will continue to execute its mandate to plan, build, and maintain a safe, reliable, and quality main road network and flood control system. The agency's primary focus will be on improving the conditions of the main road network, which was damaged by recent flood rains, and improving the safety, mobility, and travel experience of road users. Investment in the maintenance of the nation's secondary road network will continue to be focused on pavement repairs, cleaning and repairing of drains and channels, debushing, among other routine activities. The NWA's top 3 priorities for the fiscal year 22-23 will be continuation of the Southern Coastal Improvement Project, 2, commencement of the Special Capital Expenditure Program, the CAPEX, and 3, continued maintenance of secondary roads. The government's flagship road project for fiscal year 2022-2023 through the National Works Agency will remain the implementation of the Southern Coastal Improvement Highway project. During the year, the agency plans to complete works on the 10 construction packages currently active on the SCIP local component, Gallas Bridge to Port Antonio, Morant Bay to Cedar Valley. In addition, construction will commence, as I said, on Trans 3. Madam Speaker, the government plans to implement the $8 billion Special Capital Expenditure CAPEX program. The program, designed for ease of implementation, is intended to support the government of Jamaica's short to medium-term economic growth objectives by creating additional employment, increasing mobility of people and goods, improving connectivity between major commercial centers, reducing time-lasting traffic, and providing essential infrastructures that encourages and facilitates future development and redevelopment. The program consists of 6 strategic infrastructure projects, as I said before, namely the widening of the Outer Wind Drive Mountain View Avenue. That will start in April 2022, completed in August 2023, 16 months duration. Dualization of Grain Lane in Portmore, I-95 to Madrid Avenue, including Cumberland Gully Bridge. This is slated to commence in April 2022, completion January 2023, 9 months. Dualization of E. King's House Road and Lady Musgrave Road from Barbican to Hope Road to Trafalgar Road. Commencement May 2022, completion May 2024, 24 months. Widen up Brayton Road and Elshaw Main Road, April 2023 to commencement, completion August 2024, 16 months. That's why you must behave yourself as well. You may not get it. But you're already 18 years, you didn't do one thing about it. 18 years. I have started to say thanks. I have started to say thanks and show some appreciation. You had nothing done there in 18 months. You have nothing done in 18 years. And it takes this government and myself as the Minister of Work to start assisting that constituency. But something is happening anyhow. But, Madam Anna, Rome wasn't built in a day. It takes some time, you know, for you getting a little help here and there. But I can guarantee you, in the next 6 months you won't complain.
All right. You know he's a man of his word. You know he's a man of his word.
No.
Not from this side.
But I told you within 6 months you won't complain. But sometimes that affects me, you know. You know that. The Sandy Gully Bridge on Washington Boulevard, the north side to Pembroke, that's slated to commence in April 2023, completing in June 2024, 14 months. New Portmore access Mandela entry into Portmore, commencement August 2023, completion December 2024. The work under the CAPES program comprised road and drainage improvement, potable water and sewer line upgrades as appropriate, traffic management and road safety improvements, installation of street lighting, and provision of underground ducts for fiber optic cables to enable future broadband connectivity. Of the 6 projects, may I say, Madam Speaker, that with this government, we have no intention of just constructing roads.
Yes.
And when the plan was for the Southern Coastline Way, water and the other amenities were not included. Constant Spring Road, Agri Park Road, and all of these, Mandela, they weren't included. Our Prime Minister, a visionary, he looked at it and he said, it makes no sense doing these infrastructure projects, not putting in water supply fiber optic sewer lines in these projects. And then 5 years or 10 years we come back, we dig it up again. We put them in now, you cap them, when you go and extend, they're always there. When you come sewer, they're always there. And this is what we are doing. And this is something that was never done before. Never done before. And it took this government under Andrew Holness to do it.
Here, here. Leadership matters. Leadership matters.
Transformational.
Madam Speaker.
Yes.
What?
Campaign just announced.
I heard what she said. That she's a transformation person over there. It means that come September, October, you might be sitting up here.
Madam Speaker, on a point of order, could you please ask the Minister to stick to his script?
What is your point of order? There's no point of order. There's no point of order. Go ahead.
You know, Madam Speaker, it seems I'm touching someone's corn. But I'll desist if it's becoming so. Madam Speaker, it's important to emphasize that while this implementation approach seeks to minimize disruption and public discomfort, these works will not be painless. Major earthworks and excavation will result in noise and dust pollution, while the tour and construction activities will impact traffic. I've instructed our project team at the National Works Agency to communicate openly and effectively with the public to mitigate any effect on health and journeys. I again humbly ask the public to bear with us as this government seeks to deliver on our promise to provide integrated infrastructure that will improve mobility, road safety, potable water supply, and sanitation. Yeah. Looking at the St. James Community Road Improvement Project, Madam Speaker, the agency will be implemented at 212 million community road improvement project in St. James, with the aim to improve safety, reduce traffic congestion, travel time, and improve accessibility to communities in and around the city of Montego Bay. The project would have several components. One, improving 13 kilometers of road to 2-lane standard, which from Iron Shore, Blue Diamond to Fairfield Road to include junction improvement along the project. Installation of 5 new traffic signals with pedestrian facilities. Installation of road marking signs. When completed, Madam Speaker, the improved corridor will provide a temporary bypass to Montego Bay Centre from Iron Shore, Blue Ribbon to Westgate. Our bridge program for fiscal year 2022-2023 will include, Madam Speaker, completion of the Mahogany Bay Vale Bridge, construction of the Penfield Bridge in St. Andrew, reconstruction of the Southwood Bridge in Clarendon, reconstruction of the Craig Mill Bridge in Portland. Madam Speaker, repairs and rehabilitation work to other bridges will also be undertaken subject to funding availability. The Troy Bridge, you know we're working on it. I haven't yet gotten the design. Other areas of focus, Madam Speaker, in addition to the above, the government through the National Works Agency will continue to pursue work in the following areas. Establishment of the urban traffic management system for Kingston metropolitan area, collaboration on the development of the national broadband communications network, continuing river training project to safeguard vulnerable communities and townships, continuing ISO-led improvements to drive operational excellences and service delivery, complete the Chovy slope stabilization work. Beyond fiscal year 2022, Madam Speaker, government through the National Works Agency will continue preparatory work for the construction of several bypasses to both improve travel time and create a potential for expansion to several townships. These include, Madam Speaker, the bypass to Lucy in Hanover, the Opal bypass in Hanover, Another Bay bypass in St. Mary, Port Murray bypass in St. Mary, Port Antonio bypass in Portland, and the Santa Cruz bypass in St. Elizabeth. Madam Speaker, I'm also very aware of the seriousness of flooding in some areas of the country, including along the Marcus Garvey Drive. I have directed that some work to be done on mitigating the impact of stormwater floods in places such as the Marcus Garvey Drive in St. Andrew, Maxwell Avenue in St. Andrew, Falmouth Dragline in Trelawney, Maypen and Santa Cruz in Clarendon and St. Elizabeth, Port Murray and St. Mary, and the Montego Bay and St. James. I believe that with investments in these locations, the country will certainly be stronger and have a more resilient infrastructure to repel some of the shocks we receive from natural disasters. Madam Speaker, this government intends to maintain the standard of quality in our works. There's no doubt that all who sit in this Assembly House and the thousands of Jamaicans listening or watching us this time share concerns about the maintenance standards and the quality of works we receive from time to time. Yes. The government is not just concerned about this area of operation. It is deeply concerned. It is widely known that the majority of main road infrastructure is in dire need of attention. Yes. The NWA estimates that we need somewhere in the region of $100 billion to start to make a dent in this problem faced by many Jamaicans. So, Madam Speaker, when we make the sacrifice of fixed corridors across the country, the least we are expecting is that we get the maximum life from the works undertaken. As per the designs. I'm referring here specifically, Madam Speaker, to roads that we rehabilitate. A road that is rehabilitated and expected to last for a minimum of 10 years should not show signs of failure at the first show of rain. Amen. The government is very uncomfortable with this type of situation. Yes, yes. In some cases, Madam Speaker, it is a lack of proper supervision of contractors by the National Works Agency staff. While the contractors are performing maintenance or rehabilitation work that cause the failure and deterioration of these works very shortly after completion. Therefore, proper supervision by our staff will be a critical factor in the maintenance and performance standards. Closer supervision will have to be done and must be done by the responsible staff of the NWA to ensure that quality of work meets the required standard and specification. I have engaged the CEO of the National Works Agency on the subject and have pledged the support of the government in having this matter receive serious attention, as we simply cannot continue along the same road, where we spend to rehabilitate only to be back at square one shortly thereafter. Enforcement of our performance standard will be a key aspect of the way we perform going forward. For performance standard, the most effective team size, equipment, methods, and procedure for performing the work will be defined for each significant maintenance work item to be utilized. I have said before, and I wish to say again, that we will have to establish the updated condition of each road. This will have to be done using the Geographic Information System, GSI, another suitable method to audit the condition of our roads. The planning department, through the road planning unit, will now urgently commence the condition surveys on all the roads under central government control. This has to be done before we put in place a realistic maintenance program and will allow for the necessary funding to be sourced. We are now putting in place a National Works Service improvement program which will guide our routine maintenance program. We'll have regular training sessions for contractors involved in our road maintenance program. Madam Speaker, this government is unwavering in its stance that the method and procedures developed by the National Works Agency for the effective maintenance of our roads must be fully understood before projects are assigned to these contractors. Enforcement of our performance standards will be a key aspect in performing. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation has signed a $274.5 million contract with China Harbour Engineering Company for the Montego Bay Perimeter Road project. I am pleased to state that this will be the first major highway development that is financed with Jamaica government's own resources and not linked to a loan. The first major one without us seeking any international involvement or international loans. The National NROC is the implementing agency for the project, which includes, number one, design and construction of a 15-kilometer perimeter road from Iron Shore to Bogue. Two, design and construction of 11-kilometer Long Hill bypass road. Three, upgrade to West Green Avenue and Barnett Street. Four, a comprehensive drainage study of the perimeter roads and areas in Montego Bay. The design phase is expected to last approximately 1 year, which will then be immediately followed by the construction phase. The total project duration is estimated to be 3.5 years. In an effort to ensure that the major infrastructure development is done in the most sustainable manner possible, NROC and the Forestry Department have signed a memorandum of understanding. The agreement is intended to mitigate against the possible impact on the 62.5 hectares of forest due to the road construction through phase reforestation. NROC will secure lands for replanting while the Forest Department will provide free seedlings and technical expertise to guide the planting and maintenance activities. Madam Speaker, NROC has commenced project planning activities for the upgrade of approximately 60 kilometers of roadway between Sea Castles in St. James to Mommy Bay in St. Anne, from 2 lanes to 4 lanes for the constrained towns in St. Anne. So we have an improvement before that we call a North Coast Highway. We can have 2 lanes. So, Madam Speaker, the study is being done to improve to a 4-lane highway we can truly call a highway. This is also in line with the government urban development strategy, which includes relieving the traffic flow through coastal towns, thereby pushing township and urban development further inland. Yes. So instead of putting the traffic through the town, we take them outside of the town and you can develop those lands properly. Yes. Looking at the commercial complex in Montague Bay Free Zone, the Port Authority, Madam Speaker, I turn now to the work of the Port Authority of Jamaica. The Port Authority of Jamaica is proposing to develop the 11.8 acres of land it owns at Montague Bay Free Port Zone into a commercial and logistic complex. The procurement process has begun to engage a consultant to undertake the geotechnical studies, as well as the design through development stage for facilitation of the demand analysis study. The Jamaica Global Logistic Hub initiative is designed to position Jamaica to attract businesses which are part of a global supply and value chain. The ultimate goal of the initiative is to further integrate Jamaica into the global supply and value chain, and the logistic hub is intended to deepen this participation. In support of this initiative, the Port Authority
Madam Speaker, I now ask that the standing orders be suspended to enable the Minister to continue his speech to its conclusion, notwithstanding the time limits on speeches. Thank you.
Members, the question before the House is that the Minister be given sufficient time to complete his presentation. Those in favour? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Minister, you have sufficient time to complete your presentation and tell what is happening in South Trelawney.
What just meant what South Trelawney inclusion they're saying?
Tell us.
Madam Speaker, please remember I was in South Trelawney just last month. Yeah. And there are several projects we have gone through. It has not fallen by the wayside, Madam Speaker. Yes. Those will be projects. As you know, Madam Speaker, once I do a tour of a constituency, then there must be something down there. Yes. In support of these initiatives, the Port Authority of Jamaica completed construction of 200,000 square foot logistic facility built to international logistical specification on a section of land contiguous to the Kingston Container Terminal, known as the Kingston Logistical Park. This development is expected to boost economic activities and lead to economic growth for Jamaica. The project involved the construction of 16,200 square meters steel frame structure with height up to 10.8 meters to be used as a warehouse building. In addition, a 1,500 square meter building was constructed to accommodate the operations of the Container Security Initiative and the Jamaica Customs Agency. The PJ, you see, the Prince Kingston can't complain about touring because I'm not of a tour. The other 2 members know that there's tour coming up shortly. The PJ has actively pursued, has has been actively pursuing partnership with private sector companies, and in November 2021, 75% of the available space at the Kingston terminal was leased to a local company. Discussions are underway with entities operating in global space that have indicated strong interest in the remaining space. For the Falmouth East Master Plan Trelawney, the 50 acres, Madam Speaker, the Port Authority of Jamaica owns 50 acres of land. 50 acres of land in Falmouth, near to the cruise ship port and the town of Falmouth. The PBCJ is seeking to develop and monetize this investment by way of public-private partnership. It will include collaboration and support from other government agencies. It is anticipated that the development will include commercial and civic buildings and amenities, and will be developed in an economic and environmental friendly manner. It will also seek to preserve the history and authentic appeal of Falmouth. The technical due diligence has commenced, and a consultant will be engaged through the Government of Jamaica procurement process to work with the PBCJ to develop and provide the preliminary estimate for development early during the financial year 2022-23. Madam Speaker, I now turn to the projects of the Development Bank of Jamaica. Under the Greater Bernard Law Development Phase 1, sales agreement for 3 residential blocks were finalized, and a 10% deposit was paid. Sale proceeds amount to $640 million, with proposed investment at $8.9 billion. Under the Greater Bernard Law Development Phase 1, that is light industry, sales agreement for 2 light industrial blocks were finalized, and 10% deposit paid. Sale proceed amount to $720 million, with proposed investment of another $10.3 billion. The Greater Bernard Law Development Project Phase 1 anticipate 800 jobs annually during the construction, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the tender for the Greater Portmore Development Phase 2 was launched in December 2021. Bid submission deadline was March 1, 2022. 13 proposals were received from 5 entities, and the bid evaluation process is now underway. The identification and approval of the recommended preferred bidder and commercial close is expected by the end of June 2022. Turning to the Urban Development Corporation, Madam Speaker, the role of the UDC is to plan, design, and develop urban environment in designated and other assigned areas, and also to undertake large-scale projects at catalysts for both the public and private sector to facilitate urban development, renewal, and revitalization. Over the past financial year, the Urban Development Corporation advanced the process for the construction of Jamaica's new Houses of Parliament and the development of the National Heroes Park, which will see the commencement of work during Jamaica's 60th year of independence. Phase 1. Thank you. Phase 1 of the procurement of a contractor is advanced, and the procurement tender for work is expected to close June 28, 2022 for evaluation. Under the UDC initiatives, namely the development of a world-class park on a 26-acre lot in Portmore, we provide a much-needed green space for the resident area. Is it that I run Fitzjackson? No, did I run Fitzjackson because I talked about Portmore?
Yes. Don't like the attention to
He doesn't like the development and improvement of Portmore. The concept includes hard and soft landscaping, walkable promenades and plazas, jogging trail, great lawns with amphitheaters, sports facilities, artistic features, commercial spaces, and parking facilities. The public investment the Public Investment Advisory Board submission for the Portmore Town Centre Park was completed and submitted on March 31st, 2022 for review and approval. In addition to the continuation of the Caymanas commercial and housing development, in addition to the continuation of the projects I mentioned, the UDC for this financial year will continue to prioritize the creation of a design concept for a sustainable community model. This model, the Caymanas Park commercial and housing development, will define densities, unit composition, commercial services, and designation of public green spaces. Yes. The Caymanas model will entail the development of more than 200 acres of land over a 5-year period for mixed-use activities, including provision of housing solutions and commercial spaces. The expectation for this financial year is that the design will be completed and procurement advanced. Housing, Madam Speaker, the housing portfolio was established to facilitate the provision of affordable housing solution and security of tenure. Since 1987, this mandate has been undertaken within the framework of the National Shelter Sector Strategy, which saw the government assuming a facilitatory role, thus working in partnership with the private sector to increase the delivery of housing solutions to the market. Despite the policy shift, housing supply has, however, lagged behind demand, resulting in a major deficit, which must be urgently addressed. So, the current political administration, led by the most Honourable Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, in pursuit of the goal to increase access to affordable housing solutions, has articulated a target to provide 70,000 affordable housing solutions within a 5-year period. 70,000. The ministry and its implementing agencies are moving at pace to achieve this target and to provide the necessary enabling framework within which the government of Jamaica can realize its goal to safe, legal and affordable housing solution for all Jamaicans by the year 2030. Madam Speaker, having received the Cabinet's approval as a Green Paper in 2019, the draft National Housing Policy Implementation Plan has undergone several rounds of consultation. The draft document is currently being revised in keeping with the feedback obtained from the consultative process. For the 2021-22 financial year, the activities undertaken to advance the process include upgrading of the draft documents, updating the draft document, keeping with the comments of the Attorney General's Chamber, Ministry of Finance and Public Service, and updating the statistical data included in the policy. 2, circulating the updated policy to over 20 ministries, agencies, and departments for review and comments. Incorporating comments received and revision and updated policy documents by a technical review committee. The draft National Housing Policy Implementation Plan was also subject to a gender-proofing exercise. The assessment funded by the Caribbean Development Bank sought to ensure that the provision are in keeping with Sustainable Development Goals number 5, which promote equal access to housing and the protection of women and girls from discriminatory policies and practices in relation to housing and land rights. The draft policies was amended considering this assessment. You want me to read again for you? All right, thank you. You know anything you want, you get it from me. Why are you so bad?
Come, Minister, keep to your script.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I won't give you a ticket, Madam Speaker. What said the draft housing policy and investment plan, implementation plan, was also subject to a gender-proofing exercise. The assessment funded by the Caribbean Development Bank, sought to ensure that the provisions are in keeping with Sustainable Development Goal number 5, which promotes equal access to housing and the protection of women and girls from discriminatory policies and practices in relation to housing and land rights. The draft policy was amended considering this assessment. Madam Speaker, the draft policy and the attendant cabinet submission are being finalized for the consideration and approval by Cabinet to facilitate tabling in the House of Parliament as a white paper within the 2022-23 fiscal year. Madam Speaker, it has long been recognized that access to housing cannot only be attained by ownership, but other pathways such as rental. It must be provided. Madam Speaker, it is long been recognized that access to housing cannot only be attained by ownership, but other ways such as rental must be provided to get there. Subsequently, the Ministry has taken steps to amend the Rent Assessment Act of 1983 to strengthen the outdated provision in order to address the current challenges in the rental industry being faced by landlords and tenants. For the 21-22 financial year, the housing agency, falling under the remit of the ministry, have a critical role to play in the delivery of the targeted 70,000 housing solution anticipated by this administration. The Housing Agency of Jamaica is responsible for the provision of 14,000 of the 70,000 housing starts under the program. The agency identified approximately 15 projects which will account for a total of 6,861 housing starts, with the balance being realized by way of agency's land bank. Projects identify Mona, Section 1, 51 solution, start 51 to start in 2020-2022. Catherine Estate, 1,650 units to start in 2020-2022, 1,650. Edmund Ridge Estate, 772 units, 772 units to start this fiscal year. Grange Pen, 535 units, 535 units to start this fiscal year. Elsha View, 623 units, 623 units to start in 2022-2023. Grange Pen, that's already. Reed's Pen, 140 units to start 2022-2023. Leona Gardens 4 Phase 3, yes. 250 units to start 2022-2023. Yes. Grange Pen Greenfield, 1,500 units. Alexandria, 116 units. Clarkstown, 600 units, 600 units to start in 2023. Green Pond Phase 2, 109 units to start in 2022. Leona Gardens 4, Phase 4, 300 units. St. Paul Lane, 97 solutions or unit, 97 units to start in 2022-23. 81 Bay Farm Road, 72 units to start 2022-2023. Pennant Road, 38 units to start 2022-2023. Land Bank, 7,139, 700 units to start this financial year. A total of 17,000 units. Yes. 3,008 to start in 2020 to 2022. 1,937 to start 2022-2023. Yes. Madam Speaker, the Land Bank assumed the acquisition of properties by HAJ as well as transferred from other government entities. The Sugar Company of Jamaica has made available 2 blocks, a total of 41.2 hectares, that's 101.7 acres, in the Greater Bernard Lodge development, to be developed jointly with the National Housing Trust, that should yield approximately 550 low-income housing solutions starting in 2022-2023. The agency is also pursuing steps to acquire 27.7 hectares in Trelawney and is actively seeking suitable lands, particularly in parishes where the demand for housing has been increased exponentially in relation to the growth in the tourism and as a consequence of a national infrastructure development such as the construction of the various legs of the Southern Coastal Improvement Highway and the Montego Bay Bypass. HAJ is also looking at the regularization of informal settlements, categorized under social subsidized housing solutions. The regularization of tenure and infrastructure in these communities will contribute significantly to the National Housing Program. There are plans to transfer approximately 3,000 certificates of titles. The Jamaica Mortgage Bank, Madam Speaker, I turn to that. I now turn to Jamaica Mortgage Bank. Jamaica Mortgage Bank with the good news that despite the impact of the COVID pandemic, the bank performed admirable under the circumstances and in some instances exceeded expectation. In fact, for the first time, the Jamaica Mortgage Bank has generated over $500 million of total income. The bank currently manage and fund 20 housing projects, including 20 housing projects island-wide, valued at $8.8 billion, and completed 5 projects during the 2021-22 financial year. Projects and loan value, we have the Genesis 28, 24 units, that's $708.5 million. Genesis Manor, 30 units, $449.6 million. Forest Gates, 30 units, $512.1 million. Harmony Court, 9 units, $82.3 million. Kensington Apartment, 46 units, $717.9 million. King's Landing, 33 units, $562.9 million. These are the units financed by Jamaica Mortgage Bank and the loan that they provided for them. Jewels of Sinclair, 12 units, $237 million. Mayfair Close Apartment, 14 units, $178.7 million. Belgrade's Island, 40 units, $740 million. The Elbury, 9 units, $170.6 million. Westlake, 9 units, $86 million. Elsha Green, 8 units, $526.4 million. Dulwich Apartment, 24 units, $374.7 million. Sanctum, 24 units, $384 million. A total of 398 units, costing a loan of $6.385 million. Committed but not yet dispersed up until March 2022. Nitram of Waterloo, you have 80 apartments at $109.9 million. You have Nitram Waterloo, 48 units, $827 million. Lynn Valley Estate, 61 unit, $130 million. The London, 8 unit, $62.2 million. Aqueduct Vineyard, 52 units, $512.8 million. Madam Speaker, the government of Jamaica is seeking to privatize the Jamaica Mortgage Bank to provide funds to the government to deepen the financial mortgage market, widen the base of ownership of the Jamaica Mortgage Bank, and assist the Jamaica Mortgage Bank to better achieve its strategic objective, which may lead to eventual expansion of its current product offerings. A cabinet submission has been drafted and consultation has been undertaken with the Attorney General's Chamber, the Ministry of Finance, and other stakeholders in a bid to finalize the recommendations. It is anticipated that the cabinet submission will be finalized in the 2022-23 financial year. Madam Speaker, in tandem with the work being done by the Housing Agency to increase the housing stock, the Project and Technical Service branch of the Ministry is also undertaking construction as well as the installation of infrastructure via infill settlement regularization, relocation, and new build-out in several areas. These include installation of infrastructure for 26 service lots at Pemberton Valley, Rockabessa, St. Mary, at a cost of $55 million. The project was completed in 21-22 financial year, and the lots are to be sold on the open market. Building infrastructure works and the construction of 130 units at Rasta City's Housing Development, Tivoli Gardens, Kingston. The project, which is funded and managed by the National Audience Trust, is to commence in the last quarter of 2022-2023 financial year with a duration of 30 months and is currently at tender. The Canterbury relocation project includes construction of 86 two-bedroom apartments with related infrastructure at Albany and St. James. The project is set to commence in the last quarter of the 2022-2023 financial year with a duration of 36 months. The project is funded by the National Audience Trust with some $186 million committed for the 2022-2023 financial year. The informal occupants of land at Canterbury are to be relocated and completion of the development. In the meantime, Madam Speaker, the Ministry is moving to regularize the occupants of 130 such households in Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. James. As such, the Land Acquisition Management Branch of the Ministry will be taking steps to acquire 6 properties in Sandy Park Road in Kingston 6 area, which were declared under the Local Improvement Community Act, Amended Act. The properties are 2, 4, 6, 8B, and 10 Sandy Park Road. Steps will also be taken to acquire 12 properties in Stanville, Kingston 6, which were graded by the Minister of Housing in order to regularize the occupation of over 300 households, and 7 properties in Bottom Pen, Montego Bay, St. James, which were partially upgraded to regularize over 500 households. So, Madam Speaker, we are not displacing these informal settlers. Yes. What we are doing, improving the lives and accommodation by providing proper structure for them. Madam Speaker, approximately 30 surveys will be conducted at a cost of $38 million. And 23 of these are subdivision surveys, which will facilitate the issuing of 335 new certificate of titles. The properties are Landtop St. Thomas, 58 lots. Seaview Gardens, Phase 2, 57 lots. 130 to 132 Red Hills Road, 32 lots. Ellison Flats, 9 lots. 84 to 90 Maxwell Avenue, 15 lots. 95 Mountain View Avenue, 15 lots. Jakes Road, 43 lots. Stanville, 20 lots. Clarenceville, 9 lots. Roaring River, 85 lots. Burke Road in Old Harbour, 80 lots. Lloydersville, 13 lots. Canaanites, 83 lots. Delina Beach, 80 lots. Yorkville, 12 lots. Myers Avenue, 18 lots. Paul Island, 50 lots. Vanzeland, 15 lots. Mount Edgecombe, 9 lots. Haywood Hall, St. Mary, 30 lots. So all of these, Madam Speaker, surveys are being done at this stage so that titles can be provided and issued to these persons who have been occupied here. In the meantime, Madam Speaker, the Social Service Branch of the Ministry has taken steps to divest 242 solutions comprising both brownfield and greenfield development, with the largest number, 188, at Vanzeland in Trelawney. The investment of 241 solutions, brownfields, and greensfield. The list is as follows. The list of Vanzeland, Trelawney, 188 solutions. Windsor Heights in St. Catherine, 21 solution. Culloden in Westmoreland, 2. West Harbour and St. Thomas, 6. York Hill, Hanover, 3. Civil Estate, St. Anne, 1. Walden, St. Catherine, 2. Old Harbour Glades, 2. Chippenham, St. Anne, 1. Crater Hills, Clarendon 1, Arnett Garden, St. Andrew 1, Flanker, St. James 2, Ebony Park, Clarendon 1, Tredegar Park, St. Catherine 1, Hopewell, Portland 1, Tarspen, St. Catherine 1, Myers Place, Myers Peace, Westmoreland 1, Seaview, St. Catherine 1, Darlingford, Portland 1, Hague, Trelawney 1. All of these are units that have been divested to poor people. Of course it is. We have a great ministry there. Madam Speaker, the unit has also allocated some more than $190 million from both reflows and inflows. This ministry continues to meet the most vulnerable of the population with housing assistance. Approximately 155 housing assistance requests were investigated by the branch during 2021-22. And building grants allocation were awarded in the sum of $28.23 million. The squatter management no discussion on housing could be complete without addressing the incidence of informant settlements or squatting in Jamaica. The squatter management unit of the ministry has continued its work to quantify the number of squatter settlements in Jamaica on the National Squatter Survey. This initiative is funded by the National Housing Trust, which has committed some $37.8 million thus far to the survey. The gathering of household and other data relating to all squatting settlements across the island commenced in July 2019 and encountered several unforeseen challenges ranging from administrative glitches, adverse weather conditions, and the most major of all, the COVID-19. Nevertheless, the squatter management unit has surveyed 269 settlements in 8 parishes. Clarendon, we did 70, Manchester 3, St. Anne, we did 40, Trelawney 26, and over 43, St. Mary 29, Portland 31, and St. Elizabeth 27. But then, Speaker, the total number of people living in these settlements is estimated to be over 83,000. To date, the database is fully populated based on the existing settlement data. The Squatter Management Unit is also working on a national squatter management policy and implementation plan with the overarching goal of facilitating gradual reduction and eventual elimination of all forms of squatting throughout Jamaica. The policy aims to promote the optimal use of land and land resources, meet the need for shelter and other uses in the structure. Consultation on the policy have taken place with 7 groups, including the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, ministries, the department, and agencies. Madam Speaker, during the 2021-22 financial year, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, through its Water Policy Monitoring Branch, undertook several initiatives aimed at highlighting the measures outlined in the National Water Sector Policy and Implementation Plan 2019, as well as increasing and maintaining communication with the public on issues affecting water sector. The Ministry, in partnership with Inter-American Development Bank, completed the consultancy to update the National Water Sector Policy Implementation Plan and the Monitoring and Evaluation Framework. Implementation policy will continue earnestly during the 2022-2023 year. Madam Speaker, in order to address some of the legislative gaps which exist within the administration of water control, the Ministry has proposed legislative changes to both the Floodwater Control Act and the Water Resource Act, which aim to assign regulatory functions for floodwater control to the Water Resource Authority, while the National Works Agency would be responsible for the implementation of floodwater control. A revised draft cabinet submission was prepared and circulated to the Attorney General's Chamber, the Chief Parliamentary Council, the Water Resource Authority, and the National Works Agency. Comments received to date are currently under review by the Ministry. The island major water supplier, the National Water Commission, has substantially completed the transmission main from 6 miles to downtown Kingston, which is one of the major transmission mains serving Kingston and St. Andrew. This is done at a cost of $3.4 billion. The entity also rehabilitated the 5 million gallon treated water storage reservoir at Constant Spring. The completion of both projects result in improved service and reliability to over 500,000 persons in residential, commercial, and social challenges area across the corporate area. The National Water Commission also completed and commissioned potable water supply upgrade works in rural communities like Luana, Middle Quarters, a new building, Main in St. Elizabeth, Maca Hill, George Lou, Spot Road, and Hamilton Mountain in St. Mary, Panton Park, Richmond Hall, and Mount Dawson in St. Catherine, as well as Barron Hall to Samuel Prospect in Trelawney. It is estimated that over 50,000 customers are benefited from these improvement work. The National Water Commission rehabilitated and upgraded 3 wastewater treatment plants that serve the communities of Greater Portmore, Elton Park, Horizon Park, Signum, and Tarspen in St. Catherine, providing over 250,000 persons with improved sewage and services and improving effluent standards compliance. Additionally, the National Water Commission extended the sewer collection network in Kingston and St. Andrew to provide centralized service and facilitate land development projects in section of Mona Heights, Upper Hope Road, Millsbury, and Barbican. This has benefited some 200 properties and households. This financial year, the National Water Commission will be undertaking key projects aimed at improving coverage of water supply projects and facilitating residential commercial development. These include replacement of aged infrastructure in Mandeville through the Greater Mandeville Water Supply Improvement Project and the transmission main replacement and installation along the South Coast Main Road in St. Thomas. These projects will be undertaken with the National Housing Trust and the National Works Agency, respectively. The budgeted capital expenditure for both projects is estimated as $1 billion. Non-revenue water reduction co-management program has been expanded to Portmore in St. Catherine. The objective of the program is to increase the revenue of the National Water Commission, to reduce losses of non-revenue water, and regularizing customers in socially challenged areas. Additionally, the organization will be implementing programs and initiatives aimed at reducing energy consumption from non-renewable energy sources by 2% and replacing aged and inefficient electrical equipment at key high-energy consuming facilities. The Water Resource Authority is responsible for the management, protection, and control allocation and use of Jamaican water resources. The WRA is continuing its work on the updated Water Resource Development Plan 2021, which is aimed at providing a framework for the rational decision-making in the development of Jamaica water resources. Other objectives include a strategy for meeting the current and future demands for water, guidelines for the location of new industries, new agricultural development areas, as well as citing new housing, agricultural, industrial development, and guidelines for development projects. The updated Water Resource Development Co-Management Program 2021 will enhance the capacity of the Water Resources Authority to effectively plan and manage the development and use of the island water resource by 1, incorporating climate change projection date for temperature, rainfall, and sea level rise in assessment of the water resource availability and demand up to the year 2050. Accounting for harvesting rainwater in the water balance determination and hence improvement estimate of the exploitable resource type. And 3, synchronizing the planning cycle of the Water Resource Development Co-Management Program with that of the Vision 2030 planning on the horizon. The Water Resource Authority has also commenced a study of the surface flow in the Warmington catchment basin. The agency has partnered with the International Atomic Agency to use isotope hydrology to characterize the flow dynamics of the Warmington catchment basin. The project aimed to identify the flow contributions of sinking rivers, rising springs, and groundwaters in the basin to confirm and identify the various contributions of rainwaters and other flow dynamics in the basin in order to better protect the source water quality, building upon the dire tracing work previously done in the sub-water program. Madam Speaker, turning to the Professional Engineering Registration Board. Madam Speaker, engineers play a critical role in the development of our infrastructure. The Professional Engineering Registration Board, which falls under the Ministry, continues its work to strengthen the enforcement and disciplinary process by targeting developers who utilize unregistered engineers in their projects. The Professional Engineering Registration Board is also continuing its work to strengthen the legislative amendments to the Professional Engineering Registration Act. And this is carried over into the 22-23 financial year. The amendment to the Professional Engineering Registration Board is being sought to change is being sought to change the term engineer to professional engineer throughout the Act to be consistent with the designation in many parts of the world and change the period of practical experience required for registration as a professional engineer from 2 to 4 years, among other initiatives, with a view to making them current and appropriate to impact and with a view to making them current and appropriate to the impact that improper engineering can have on public safety. Madam Speaker, the government we have identified and verification of 3 phases of the Prime Minister's low-income housing project in tandem with National Land Agency. A total of 6,529 parcels were identified and field ground verification conducted in conjunction with the National Land Agencies in Westmoreland, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrews, St. Thomas and Hove, Trelawney during July to November 2021. A total 971 suitable parcels were selected. This work is being undertaken by the teams from the National Environment and Planning Agency and the Forestry Department. Madam Speaker, 2 major achievements of the government over the last fiscal year were the Black River Protection Area in the Sectoral Debate, as well as highlighted by the Prime Minister in his presentation. Madam Speaker, 78,024 hectares are now protected, which makes the cockpit country the island's largest terrestrial protected area and second largest protected area on the Portland protected area after the Portland Bright protected area. One of the major areas of focus for the government in this financial year is the declaration of the port of the Pedro Keys and the surrounding waters as protected area under the Act. The work in this area is far advanced and will protect 82,200 hectares of land and sea. Madam Speaker, on January 1st, 2019, Jamaica commenced the implementation process of a phased ban on some single-use plastic packaging items. Recently, in Nairobi, Kenya, a resolution was passed by the UN Environmental Agency, with 175 nations supporting the establishment of an international negotiating committee to help develop a global binding treaty on the issue. This treaty could have major implications to our manufacturing sector as it seeks to reorder our consumption pattern and change our management of plastic waste, and in this regard, the private sector will be formally engaged to ensure that they are prepared for the change to come. Madam Speaker, we look at the work to support the rehabilitation of the Elsha Beach. The development of a master plan for the Elsha Beach is being undertaken to promote and facilitate the orderly development and rehabilitation of coastal resources, foster economic growth, and maintain a recreational space for public use and enjoyment. The socio-economic and environmental assessment is presently being undertaken by a consultancy team of engineers and architects, and is being done in close consultation with key stakeholders, including the Elsha Bay Fishermen Cooperative Unit Society. The Korean International Cooperative Agency is supporting the government of Jamaica through NEPA with the construction of a video monitoring tower to capture coastal and wave climate data to support the design of beach rehabilitation works to be undertaken at Elsha. For the Forestry Department, Madam Speaker, despite the tremendous challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, the Forestry Department has achieved the distribution and/or planting of 1 million trees in the National Tree Planting Initiative. The Forestry Department has been improving the processes and facilities to produce the required seedlings and remains committed to providing every Jamaican with up to 10 free seedlings to plant. The agency also recently launched its tree tracking mobile GIS application, which enables Jamaicans to track and share the progress of their trees, as well as to get information and advice on the care of seedlings. I am pleased to note that under the European Union Budget Support Program for the forestry sector titled Improvement Forest Management for Jamaica, the Forestry Department achieved all its targets under the 8 program indicators. This resulted in the approval for the payment of the 3rd tranche of funds under the 4-year 2018-2022 Budget Support Program for the Government of Jamaica. Among the targets under the program is indicated 4 which speak to upscaling gender-sensitive initiative. On the project, a total disbursement of $212 million has so far been made to groups implementing projects in forest-adjacent community. Over 1,000 persons have benefited directly or indirectly from the project initiative. The balance of $70 million, bringing the total spent for the indicator to $240 million, will be used to complete the remaining project initiatives. Community groups have engaged in a variety of livelihood activities such as rainwater harvesting, agroforestry, aquaculture, and nature culture. I'm not feeling too well. I am not feeling well. Fellow Madam Speaker, I want to emphasize the important role that the meteorological service play in delivering weather and climate products and services with the aim of preparing Jamaicans for whatever meteorological hazard may come our way, thereby safeguarding and securing lives, property, and other critical infrastructure. In the 2021-22 financial year, the Meteorological Service improved the surface weather observation network. The division also developed a bushfire warning index that will assist in proactively providing early warning to the population and the Jamaica Fire Brigade about the risk of breakout of wildfire across the island based on data about specific climate, vegetation, and soil parameters. The division also adopted a bushfire. This financial year, the Met Service will concentrate on the continued expansion of the surface water observation network with installation of an additional data collection platform, including automatic weather stations and sea level monitoring gauges, as well as testing lightning sensors. This will also be further equipped to transfer data in real time to the monitoring center within the forecast center. The development of impact-based forecasting to enable the Meteorological Service capacity to provide people-centered early warning for hydrometeorological hazards is another important development for this financial year. This creates a shift from forecasts that indicate that the weather will be to what the weather will be or what the weather will do, and will facilitate the provision of information on an impact of severe weather hazards, thereby allowing the public and critical decision makers to better prepare for these events. Madam Speaker, I know I've said a lot this afternoon. That I have is because you see, we have had a good thing so far in your mark. Listen and don't bother. I just know what the Speaker said. Madam Speaker, I know I've said a lot this afternoon. Yes. That I have is because we have plenty of things to say. And as we say in Jamaica, enough things are gone. From new road projects to water, to the environment and climate change. We are on the path to building resilient, sustainable, and adaptable infrastructure for a strong future in the construction of new and modern houses, establishment of new and improved communities, and creation of commercial space for businesses for business to flourish. We're on path to building resilient, sustainable, and adaptable infrastructure for a strong future. I urge all of my fellow Jamaicans to seek out the opportunities being provided through the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation as we partner with you to build stronger for better. Thank you all. May God bless you, and may God bless Jamaica. Thank you, Lord.
Madam Speaker, I now ask that the sectoral debate be suspended.
Members, the question before the House is that the sectoral debate be now suspended. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. Sectoral debate is suspended.
Madam Speaker. When Nigel come on. Madam Speaker, today we have the Customs Tariff Revision Amendment Resolution 2022 to be taken by Dr. Nigel Clark, Member of Parliament and Minister of Finance and the Public Service.
Minister Clark, just before you do, I want to use the opportunity to thank Minister Warmington for an extremely comprehensive and entertaining presentation. I did hear Clark, something about South Trelawney, Clarkstown at a point. I look forward to hearing more from you. Thank you very much, Minister. Minister Clark, over to you.
Madam Speaker, the matter for consideration by this Honourable House is a confirmation of the Customs Tariff Revision Amendment Resolution 2022, required to give effect to the implementation of the revised Common External Tariff based on the new 2022 Harmonized System of Classification. Section 5 of the Customs Act, Madam Speaker, provides for the House of Representatives by resolution to impose import duties, to revoke or to reduce or increase or alter any duties so imposed, and may provide for the importation of any goods without the payment of customs duties. The Harmonized System of Classification is the World Customs Organization's international multi-purpose product nomenclature used as a basis for customs tariff and the collection of international trade statistics. The World Customs Organization is responsible for the harmonized system and revises the system at regular intervals to ensure that it reflects changes in technology or in patterns of trade. Madam Speaker, Jamaica, being a member of CARICOM, is required to adopt amendments to the CET based on the new 2022 harmonized system. And we did this last year, we did it the year before. It's just something we have to do each year. At the 53rd regular meeting of the Council of Trade and Economic Development held in November 2021, Member States gave a commitment to implement the revised CET-based harmonized system 2022 no later than July 2022. And Jamaica, along with Barbados, Belize, and Dominica, gave undertakings to endeavour to implement the new CET structure in April 2022. However, due to several circumstances, including our preparation for the budgetary process, the need for consultations, we have delayed the implementation to June 1st, 2022. Madam Speaker, Jamaica remains committed to honouring our obligations under CARICOM, to which we are signatory. Accordingly, the Customs Tariff Revision Amendment Resolution 2022, which was tabled here last week, is hereby submitted to this Honourable House for confirmation.
Madam Speaker, as stated by the Honourable Minister, this is by now I feel a routine matter requiring that the CET amendments to the CET come before this Honourable House for its adoption. The matter is non-controversial and the opposition supports.
Madam Speaker, I now ask that the resolution be approved.
Motion. Members, the question before the House is that the motion be approved. Those in favour? Those against? The ayes have it. The motion is now approved.
Madam Speaker, it is not contemplated for us to do any further business today. I therefore ask that the House adjourn until Tuesday, the 17th day of May 2022, at 10 a.m. Members, please note 10 a.m. on Tuesday, the 17th of May, notwithstanding the Standing Order 81A, which stipulates the day and time allotted for sitting of this House. Madam Speaker, this meeting is so scheduled for us to facilitate a joint meeting of the Houses of Parliament for us to receive an address by His Excellency Ramnath Kovind, President of the Republic of India.
Members, the question is that the House do adjourn until next week, Tuesday, the 17th of May. We are asking all members to note that the joint sitting is at 10 a.m. to facilitate the address of the President of India. Members, we have a sitting that will also start at 2 p.m., the very same day, or sitting of Parliament. So there are two sittings, and we are asking all members to bear in mind that we will start promptly at 10 in the morning and again at 2 in the afternoon. I ask you to bear those announcements in mind, and with that, this Honourable House is now adjourned until next Tuesday, the 17th. Those in favour of the adjournment? Those against, I thought would all have been in favour.